Jinping, the president of China, made his first trip to Russia since Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. It was anticipated that she would stay for 3 days. Are the relations between the two countries stronger than before? What will be the outcomes of this meeting? Today we will be discussing the recent meeting between the Chinese and Russia's presidents. What's the latest between the two? So, let's get started. Starting with the basics, what physically connects both countries is the Heihe border, which serves as a unity between the two. This border is also known to be the colorful jewel on the China-Russia border. Due to this border, a treaty of good neighborliness and friendly cooperation was signed in 2001, which was renewed recently in 2021. China and Russia are each other's greatest neighbors and thorough key accomplices of coordination. Both are major countries in the world and permanent members of the UN Security Council. Maintenance of relations between the two countries. Nearly 12 months ago, Russia launched a large-scale land invasion into Ukraine, causing chaos in Europe's post-Cold War landscape. Many countries in Asia and the developing world have carefully balanced their relations between Russia and Ukraine. China, on the other hand, has called for the end of hostilities in Ukraine while maintaining a close strategic partnership with Russia. Arrival of Xi Jinping. According to President Xi, he was pleased to accept President Putin's invitation to make another state visit to Russia. Following his election as president 10 years ago, Russia was the first country he visited. Those experiences are still fresh in his mind today. He and President Putin maintained frequent communication over the past 10 years. Upon invitation, the Chinese president met Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin upon his arrival in Moscow on Monday, March 20th. It was anticipated that she would stay for 3 days. The two presidents had a top-to-bottom and authentic trade on China-Russia relations and issues of shared interest. Putin gave the Chinese leader a warm welcome and commended China's growth in recent years and said that they even envy them a little. Xi, who referred to Putin as his dear friend, praised Putin in turn, stating that the country's progress had significantly improved. I am confident that the visit will be fruitful and give new impetus to the healthy and stable development of China-Russia relations of comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation in a new era, she said after arriving in Moscow, according to state-run Russian news agency TASS. Renewing relations. President Xi focused on the fact that there is a significant history behind China-Russia relationship to reach where it is today. China and Russia share a clear border with each other and are comprehensive strategic and coordination partners. The two nations considered their relationship to be a high need in their general discretion and strategy on outside issues. China generally maintains an independent international strategy. China has made a strategic decision based on its fundamental interests and global trends to strengthen and develop positive relations with Russia and is firm in keeping to the overall course of securing key coordination with Russia. Both nations have supported one another on a variety of global issues and have enjoyed close military, economic, and political ties. Military relations. China is now the fourth largest exporter of arms in the world thanks to the expansion of its military production capabilities. At the moment, China focuses on developing and manufacturing its own weapons while continuing to import jet engines and other military components from Russia. China aimed to become competitive on global arms markets and achieve defense sector independence. Its defense industry is growing and developing rapidly. Though, the US suspects that the Chinese organizations provided non-lethal support to Russia, and suggests that Beijing will be provided with lethal support in the future. China on Ukraine issue. President Xi emphasized that the voices of reason and peace are growing in the Ukraine crisis. The majority of nations favor relieving tensions, support peace negotiations, and oppose stoking fire. History demonstrates that disputes must ultimately be resolved by discussion and negotiation. China published a paper outlining its stance on the Ukraine situation, calling for a political resolution and rejecting Cold War ideologies and unilateral sanctions. China considers the necessity to preserve a place for peace grows as challenges multiply. Russia appreciates China. China's consistent upholding of an impartial, objective, and balanced position in standing for fairness and justice on major international issues, Russia's President Putin stated, are greatly appreciated. Russia has concentrated on China's position paper on the political settlement of the Ukraine issue and is available to talk for harmony. China's constructive role in this regard is welcomed by Russia. The two presidents said that they planned formal discussions on the following day to draw up another outline for China-Russia's extensive key organization of coordination in the years to come. The two nations are expected to deepen their close strategic alignment during the trip, which includes coordinated diplomatic efforts, joint military training, and robust trade. Top U.S. diplomat Antony Blinken had a skeptical point of view about Xi Jinping visiting Russia days after an arrest warrant was issued by the International Criminal Court for President Putin for alleged war crimes committed in Ukraine, which suggests that China does not believe it is its duty to hold the Kremlin accountable for the atrocities that were committed in Ukraine, and that instead of condemning those atrocities, China would rather provide diplomatic cover for Russia to continue committing them. Trade scenario. China's export to Russia increased by 19% at the start of the year, reaching $15 billion, despite declining demand from other markets. Russia's imports increased by 31% to $18 billion. This overall trade rose by 25%, reaching roughly $33 billion. The currency effect. Western actions to block Russian financial institutions from the international payment system SWIFT, freeze the assets of Russia's central bank and Russian commercial banks, and expel Western banks and credit card companies temporarily crippled Russia's economy in the early days of the Ukraine invasion. The Chinese yuan and cryptocurrency have filled the void left by Russia's exclusion from the dollar-dominated international financial system. Russian banks began lending in yuan and using the currency for money transfers. Exchanging the yuan for the dollar and euro might work in the short term, but it will make Russia more financially dependent on China. Putin stated that the West and Kiev were not yet ready for a peace agreement, but that a Chinese proposal to end the conflict could serve as the foundation. Do you think China is aiding weapons to Russia, or is China trying to settle the dispute between Russia and Ukraine? One can say that the United States may feel threatened by the union of the two superpowers. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.